In 1960, when Domino's Pizza first opened, the entire day's sales were just $14. But who would have thought that the boy who once sold newspapers, with neither a father's support nor a mother's love, would one day own more than 18,000 pizza outlets? However, this victory against all odds was far from simple. The pizza store, which was started with borrowed money, faced countless obstacles on its journey to success. Sometimes partners would leave, all the savings would be wiped out by fraud, or a partner would betray him. And on top of that, even the name with which the store was opened belonged to someone else. Lawsuits worth millions of dollars and a nasty viral video played with the reputation that the owner of Domino's had built over the years. This is the story of Thomas Monaghan, who faced all these challenges and went from zero to building a billion-dollar empire. On March 25, 1937, Thomas Monaghan was born into a middle-class family in Michigan. His father struggled to support the family as a truck driver, and his mother worked at a nursing school. At just 4 years old, his father passed away, and his mother, unable to support the children, handed Tom and his brother Jim over to government care for 7 years. Tom's childhood was filled with difficulties, neither his father's support nor his mother's love. All he knew was the harshness of government foster care and boarding schools. He struggled to pass high school and barely got admission to the University of Michigan. But unfortunately, he didn't have the money to pay the tuition fees. Life kept throwing challenges at him, and eventually he started delivering newspapers door to door. This is where he began learning the basics of business and never missed an opportunity to save money. Just as he was starting to find his footing, his small savings were wiped out by a fraud. This was the turning point in 1959 when Tom's brother Jim approached him with an idea that would change their lives. Jim, who worked as a mail carrier at the post office, was also working part-time at a restaurant owned by a man named Dominic to make ends meet. Dominic's restaurant was struggling and closed down, and he wanted to sell it for a low price. He was asking $500 for the restaurant, but the condition was that there was $2,000 of debt on it, which the buyer would have to pay. When Jim brought this news to Tom, they both thought, why not buy the restaurant and work together? They took a loan of $900 from the post office and bought the restaurant from Dominic without changing its name. In return, Dominic gave them some recipes and taught them how to make the sauce. They decided to open the restaurant from 5 p.m. to midnight, so Jim's post office job wouldn't be disturbed, and Tom could continue his dream of attending university in the morning. They officially opened the restaurant on December 9, 1960, and made a total of $14 in sales on the very first day. In the first week, they didn't even have a phone, meaning all customers had to walk to the restaurant themselves. Later, they started a delivery service for which they hired 2 factory workers on commission. After 4 months, their daily sales reached $7, but most of these sales came from the nearby college. When the semester ended, sales dropped to $28. Jim, due to his post office job, spent very little time at the restaurant and did almost no work. As sales dropped, the brothers started to argue, and at one point, things got so heated that they almost got into a physical fight. 6 months after the restaurant opened, Jim left the business, even though it was originally his idea. In exchange for his 50% share, Tom gave him a Volkswagen, which they had bought for pizza deliveries. Jim happily took the car and stepped aside, unaware of how much he was losing in the deal. Now Tom became the 100% owner of the restaurant, but this also meant he had to work full-time, putting his dream of attending university on hold once again. He often stayed at the restaurant for days at a time and survived on burnt pizza for meals. Slowly, the restaurant's sales began to rise again. He hired 2 helpers, and daily profits reached $7. In his free time, Tom visited other pizza stores and did market research. During this period, he befriended the owner of an Italian restaurant who shared his famous sauce recipe with Tom. When Tom applied this recipe at Dominic's, customers loved the sauce, and sales started to climb once more. Someone then suggested to Tom that he open a second branch of his restaurant. But for this, Tom needed a partner to manage his original restaurant, as his brother was no longer with him. Eventually, Tom found a partner, but this partner was about to destroy all of Tom's hard work. One day, a man named Jim Gilmore walked into Dominic's, and Tom immediately recognized him as a well-known local restaurant owner. They started talking about the restaurant business, And during the conversation, Tom shared his plans to open a new branch. Since Gilmore had experience running restaurants, they struck a deal. It was agreed that Gilmore would invest $500 in exchange for a share in the business and would manage the first Dominic's location. However, Gilmore said, "I don't have the $500 right now, but I'll pay it later." But since Tom desperately needed a partner, he agreed. Gilmore became a 50% partner in Dominic's without making any down payment, and he never paid Tom later either. Tom opened his second branch and handed the first branch over to Gilmore. This was the point when Tom realized his mistake. He had given 50% of his business to a stranger without proper vetting. Sales and the quality of pizza at the first branch started to decline rapidly, and Tom suspected that Gilmore was secretly stealing money from the cash drawer. Jim Gilmore ran 2 restaurants in the city, but he had a drinking problem, which had already led him to bankruptcy twice. Tom thought maybe he had reformed, but he hadn't. Additionally, Gilmore had slyly inserted conditions into their agreement that made him a partner in only the profits, while Tom would bear all the losses. Eventually, things got so bad that Tom had to spend time managing both branches, while Gilmore only worked whenever he felt like it. In short, Gilmore was taking advantage of Tom. Tom tried several times to end their agreement, but due to legal issues, he couldn't easily get rid of Gilmore. The matter eventually went to court, and only then was the partnership dissolved. But the losses were all Tom's responsibility. However, this wasn't the end of Tom's troubles. The next problem came from the man whose name Tom was using for his business, Dominic DeVardi. When DeVardi realized that Tom was running 2 successful restaurants using his name and making good sales, professional jealousy set in. After all, Dominic himself was running a restaurant in the same city under his own name, and this was causing confusion for customers. So Dominic called Tom and demanded that he stop using his name. This news hit Tom like a bolt of lightning. He had poured his blood, sweat, and tears into promoting the name. Changing the name now would mean all his hard work would go to waste. Someone suggested to Tom that he choose a name similar to Dominic's, as people used phone books to find numbers at that time. A name similar to Dominic's would still place Tom's restaurant on the same page. For several days, Tom and his team brainstormed names similar to Dominic's, but nothing clicked. Finally, a pizza delivery driver suggested a name, Domino's. Tom loved the name, and from that day forward, the restaurant was no longer Dominic's, but Domino's. Changing the name meant they also needed a new logo, so they simply used a domino game tile as the logo, and since they had 3 stores at the time, they placed 3 dots on the tile. Now, the next time you see the Domino's logo, you can tell others that the 3 dots represent their original 3 stores. Tom Monaghan's pizza business now had a new name. He worked hard to improve the recipe and make the business more profitable. However, the real growth of Domino's began with an unusual incident. One day, several of the restaurant's staff took leave at the same time. In response, Tom removed extra items from the menu and served only pizza. That day, Domino's made the most profit it had ever seen. Tom realized that a larger menu only increased the workload, while a smaller menu brought more profit. From that day onward, Domino's removed extra items from the menu and focused solely on pizza. Even within the pizza menu, they reduced the sizes to just 2, 8-inch and 12-inch. Tom noticed that offering dine-in facilities required additional staff, which increased workload and reduced profits. As a result, he revolutionized the delivery business by using cardboard boxes to keep pizzas hot and introducing delivery pouches. This innovation, first introduced by Domino's, kept the pizzas hot for longer. With these new delivery techniques, Domino's stayed ahead of other restaurants. At the time, competitors like Pizza Hut focused mainly on dine-in facilities, whereas Domino's model was completely centered around delivery. This allowed Domino's to maintain higher profit margins since they didn't have to spend extra on dine-in amenities. By 1967, after 7 years in the business, Tom decided to franchise and open new stores near colleges and military bases, where pizza demand was high. Instead of spending money on mainstream media advertising, he opted for ads in college newspapers, which were both cheaper and more effective. In the next 2 years, Domino's opened 32 franchises. Initially, there were some quality issues, but these were soon resolved. By the end of 1969, they had opened a total of 42 stores in Michigan, Vermont, and Ohio, and by 1978, there were over 200 Domino's outlets across the U.S. While Domino's success seemed unstoppable, a major challenge arose in 1980. By then, Domino's delivery service had become extremely popular, prompting competitors like Pizza Hut to focus on delivery as well. To differentiate itself, Domino's implemented a unique strategy in 1984. They advertised that if pizza wasn't delivered within 30 minutes, it would be free. This offer was highly attractive to customers. Either they got their pizza quickly or it was free. This campaign caused Domino's sales to soar. By 1980, with 200 branches in the U.S., Domino's global presence had expanded to 5,000 outlets. Domino's quickly became the fastest-growing restaurant chain in the world. However, Tom wasn't aware that this strategy would eventually backfire. In 1989, a 17-year-old Domino's delivery driver, trying to deliver pizzas quickly, was involved in a truck accident and died at the scene. The incident was reported in newspapers, stating that the young driver's death was due to the pressure to deliver pizzas quickly. It became evident that drivers, in their rush to meet delivery times, were speeding and breaking traffic rules. The news quickly made headlines in national magazines. A report was published revealing that in 1 year, Domino's fast delivery had led to 20 fatal accidents. Another incident involved a driver running over a couple, resulting in the wife's death at the scene. Domino's was fined $32 million due to this accident. In 1993, another case emerged when a Domino's driver ran a red light, causing a car accident that resulted in a young woman's spine being fractured. This time, the court fined Domino's $78 million. These incidents led to increasing scrutiny of Domino's delivery service. The campaign that had propelled Domino's to great heights now seemed to be a liability. At this point, Tom decided to end the 30-minute delivery guarantee. As is often the case, a successful business eventually becomes controversial. With driver accidents and the controversies surrounding Domino's Foundation, Tom Monaghan sold Domino's in 1998 for $1.1 billion. However, the controversies did not end there. In 2009, a YouTube video went viral showing two Domino's workers preparing pizzas in a highly unhygienic manner. In the footage, they were seen sneezing on pizzas before putting them in the oven and digging their fingers in their noses before touching the pizzas. A total of 5 such videos were uploaded. The culprits were quickly identified, which wasn't too difficult since their faces were clearly visible in the videos. They claimed they were making prank videos and assured that no pizzas were sent out to customers in that condition. Despite this, Domino's suffered significant damage from this prank. Today, Domino's has 18,848 branches worldwide, 145 more than Pizza Hut. However, while Domino's has around 13,500 employees, Pizza Hut employs 350,000. In terms of revenue, Domino's generates nearly 4 times the sales of Pizza Hut. Additionally, it's worth noting that every day, 3 million pizzas are made at Domino's. One of Domino's chefs, Jagros Jaff, has set the record twice for the world's fastest pizza maker, making 3 large pizzas in just 70 seconds, astonishing the world. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and make sure to follow the channel for more content like this. See you next time.